What's up, Giants fans? Giancarlo, the Fancast Live podcast. In 8 days, the 2020 NFL entry draft will take place, and there's still a lot of uncertainty amongst the Giants front office on who the Giants will take with their 4th overall pick in the first round and their 36th overall pick in the second round. There is great debate going on amongst Giants fans right now on whether the Giants should take one of the top 4 offensive tackles in this year's draft to help protect Daniel Jones and create holes for Saquon Barkley and finally address the offensive line needs, or should they take linebacker Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson, who could potentially be a future defensive star? There obviously are different scenarios here that the Giants can possibly create in the first round with the 4th overall pick. One of them obviously is staying put at number 4 and taking an offensive tackle, one of the top 4 offensive tackles in this draft. I have him ranked as Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, and Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. Now, different analysts have them ranked differently. Tristan Wirfs had an incredible performance at the Combine. If you have not seen it, you must go watch it, YouTube it, do whatever you got to do, but go watch Tristan Wirfs and watch his performance at the Combine. The dude is a freaking beast. Not that Andrew Thomas and Jedrick Wills aren't, because they're still very good offensive linemen. They're still ranked in the top 3 or 4, and they are very strong, very big, very athletic, very fast, and they can eat up a lot of defensive linemen in the process. So if the Giants were to go with one of those top 3 offensive tackles, Wirfs, Wills, or Thomas, I don't have Wirfs obviously is my favorite, but I wouldn't have an objection with the Giants taking either one of those 3 players in this draft. Obviously, Dave Gettleman loves Tristan Wirfs. He's big, he's athletic, he's fast, he's strong. He's probably the most NFL ready right now. Again, he had a great performance at the Combine. Andrew Thomas, I've been watching videos of him the last couple of days. I am very impressed with his performance as well. And Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, you guys know he's got connections with he personally doesn't have connections to Joe Judge, but Joe Judge does have a connection with Nick Saban, whom he worked with at Alabama. So you might have Nick Saban talking in Joe Judge's ear saying take Jedrick Wills because he's probably the best offensive tackle in his draft. Meanwhile, you have Dave Gettleman saying, no, I think we should take Tristan Wirfs instead because he's bigger, more athletic, and more NFL ready. So I'm sure there's a big debate going on in the front office as well as we speak. But like I was saying, there's a few different scenarios that can happen here. Obviously, scenario number 1 would be the Giants staying put at number 4. And if I was general manager of the New York Giants in 2020, making this selection in this year's draft, my 4th overall pick would be Tristan Wirfs of Iowa. And at number 36 in the second round, I would once again, if I am general manager of the New York Giants in 2020, my second round pick at number 36 would be a center, and he is Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. Therefore, I have now addressed the Giants' need on the offensive line by creating a young, strong front line that will help protect Daniel Jones and create holes for star running back Saquon Barkley. This is something that Dave Gettleman has been looking to address since coming aboard as general manager in 2017, and he's failed miserably at it. Although he did select Hernandez last year, I thought that was a pretty good pick last year. I believe he played alongside Nate Solder this year, and he was very good as a rookie. So kudos to him for making that selection last year. But now it's time to complete this offensive line right now, because obviously the future of this offensive line beyond 2020 does not look good unless Dave Gettleman makes these 2 picks in the 2020 draft. Take Wirfs at number 4, take Ruiz at number 36, and you are done, finished, kaput. Dave Gettleman addressed enough of the defensive of the defensive side of the ball in free agency. I thought he did a pretty good job making some key additions to the defense, picking up some linebackers, an edge rusher, a defensive back, and from Carolina, whom he drafted in Carolina when he was the general manager down there in Bradbury. So the defense, I think, is going to be pretty good. The key here is creating the protection for Daniel Jones and the holes for Saquon Barkley in order for this Giants offense to perform at a higher level and score more points. The defense should be good enough to keep defenses at bay and keep the offense in the game. That's the key here. Now, by selecting Wirfs and Ruiz, the future is set for this Giants offensive line. Nate Solder might be cut at the end of 2020, or he might be moved to the right side in 2021. I don't know what the Giants will end up doing with Nate Solder, but that was not a very good investment. And this is probably one of the reasons why Dave Gettleman did not address the offensive line in free agency. I know he got Cam Fleming from the Dallas Cowboys, but I only see him as a potential fill-in, backup, or spot starter, but nothing more than that. That said, scenario number 2 would obviously be the Giants moving out of the 4th spot and moving down to either 5 or 6, depending on which of the 2 teams, the Dolphins or Chargers, want a quarterback more to either move ahead or stay ahead of one another. There are rumors coming out of Washington that there's a possibility that the Redskins might take Tua Tagovailoa at number 2. As you guys know, Ron Rivera is the new head coach in D.C. With the Redskins, and if you guys remember, the Redskins last year ended up taking Dwayne Haskins. Well, I believe it was a 17th pick in the draft last year. So they had what they thought was their franchise quarterback. He had a very poor performance last year, but I truly believe that Haskins was set up to fail in that system. And he's not being given, he might not be given that chance to redeem himself in 2020. So if Ron Rivera wants to go in his own direction and build his team from the ground up, he might want to build around the quarterback he selects in a draft and not one that's already in place. So there's a possibility the Skins might take Tagovailoa at number 2, creating a bidding war between the Chargers, a potential bidding war between the Dolphins at number 5 and the Chargers at 6, who would probably be looking to move up to get Herbert, which would be the only top quarterback left in the draft. So it all depends on who's going to want Herbert more. Is it going to be the Dolphins or is it going to be the Chargers? Who's going to be willing to give up more draft assets to move up to get him? So if there's a potential for the Giants to move down to 5 or 6, I would definitely do that if I'm the Giants, because you're still going to pick one of the top 4 offensive tackles at 5 or 6. And you'd be able to add some more draft assets, possibly a 3rd-round pick here. I don't think the Giants would be able to pull a 2nd-round pick unless, again, the Skins end up taking Tagovailoa at number 2, creating a bidding war between the Dolphins and Chargers for Herbert, and forcing them to give up or fork up more draft assets in the process and possibly getting another number 2. Either way, if the Giants fall to 5 and 6, my recommendation here is not to fall any further down than 8 or 9, because at number 10 you have the Cleveland Browns, who are also looking to take an offensive lineman, and then the Jets at number 11, who are also looking to take an offensive lineman. So you don't want to fall too far down and allow other teams to take the top 3 or 4 offensive tackles in this draft and then be left with none. The other scenario, and obviously if the Giants would move down to 5 or 6, obviously they're still taking a center with their 36th pick, because I don't see them getting a number 2 pick out of either the Chargers or Dolphins if they were to move up to 4. Another scenario obviously would be the Giants taking Isaiah Simmons with their 4th overall pick, or 5 or 6 if they decide to move down. I don't think that's the way to go. If I'm the GM, like I said, my 2 picks in the 1st and 2nd round would be tackle, center. Get it done. Complete this offensive line now while you still can. But if the Giants do decide to go defense and take Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson, who's very versatile. He's played linebacker, he's played safety, he's played in the slot, he's played in all. He's got the speed to cover wide receivers. He's got the speed to cover tight ends. He is very versatile, very good. But at the combine, he was asked, if a team were to draft him, what position would he be willing to play if he were to choose just one? And obviously, his position of choice would be interior linebacker. So, but that's up to whoever drafts Isaiah Simmons. Maybe they're going to want him to be versatile. Maybe they're going to want him to play safety and some linebacker and some corner and some slot, or whatever the case is. He can play multiple. If he can do it, he can do it. I mean, why not? But if the Giants were to go with the linebacker at number 4, then obviously the pick at 36 would be an offensive lineman, whether a tackle or a center here, most likely a tackle. But I don't know what's going to be left at 36 in the 2nd round as far as top-tier tackles are concerned. Maybe they go with the center. At that point, it could still be Ruiz, or it could be Hennessy, or it could be somebody else. I don't know. Either way, the Giants need to address the offensive line, whether it's with the 4th overall pick and the 36th pick, or the 36th pick, and then take the linebacker at 4, or take an offensive tackle at 4, and then take a defensive player at 36. There's a lot of options here for the Giants. Obviously, again, if it's my choice, I'm taking offensive linemen with both picks, and then worry about defense later on in the draft, because the Giants do have, I think they have multiple 3rd-round picks or multiple 4th-round picks. They have plenty of picks, and it's a pretty deep draft as far as offensive linemen are concerned. So if the Giants were to go defense with their 4th overall pick, there's still plenty of talent as far as the offensive line is concerned in the later rounds. What other scenarios can there be? I don't think there are any other scenarios. I really doubt the Giants would move up to number 2. I know there was some rumors about them trading with the Redskins to move up to 2 to get Chase Young. I don't see that happening. I really think that with Dave Gettleman addressing defense and with free agency, that his plan with the draft was to address the offensive line, and I think ultimately that's what he's going to do. Listen, this is very important that the Giants address the offensive line, because Daniel Jones will only regress if they don't. Saquon Barkley will never get the holes that he needs created in order to run north and south. Very important. I think the Giants did enough in free agency to address the defense. I think with the first 2 picks, the Giants should go offense, and that is all I have to say about that. So that said, that's all I've got. Till the next time, let's go Giants. Peace.